Mavis Watkins of Chicopee, Massachusetts, ignored much of the advice that financial experts typically give to lottery winners. She quit her job, spoke with the press, and took her winnings as a lump sum. While she may be able to afford to break the rules, most winners can't. And so basically what they're saying is that, the reason that advisors push you to not quit your job is because it is best if you sort of stay in your regular routine. Now, personally, I think it's okay to quit your job, but I think you should find a second thing to do, right? Because if you're sitting there with a lot of money and a lot of free time, it does something to your spirit. It does something to what you're doing with your money. People get into drugs, they get into all kinds of nonsense. So working is good for the soul. It goes beyond just making money. Speaking with the press, what you're doing when you speak with the press after you won the lottery is you are letting every person on earth know that you suddenly got money, which will suddenly make you a big target. And also taking the money as a lump sum means that you're going to you're going to be in jeopardy of making one big gigantic mistake that can ruin everything for you. So anyway, it says lottery winners are more likely to declare bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years than the average American. What's more, studies have shown that winning the lottery does not necessarily make you happier or healthier, because money can't buy happiness. Now being broke can't buy nothing. Being broke can't buy happiness or anything, right? So this does not mean that being broke is better or worse than being happy, than being wealthy. But ultimately, the one thing about money that a lot of people forget is that money really is a tool. Money is not a destination. Money is a tool for the improvement and the enhancement of your life and the lives of others. And if you don't understand that, then you're going to end up misinterpreting what that tool should be used for, and find yourself wondering, wait a minute, I have all this money. I used to think that all my problems were linked to money. Now I suddenly have a bunch of money, but I'm still not happy. Why am I not happy? I don't know why, right? Well, a lot of people would say the reason that you're not happy now that you have the money is because you haven't learned ways you can actually use that money to enhance your happiness, because you maybe don't even know enough about yourself to know what it is that made you sad in the first place. It wasn't just a lack of money. It was deeper than that, right? So money really is a tool. Like money, having enough money, what I found was that when I had enough money to do what I wanted and I was free to do what I wanted, I found myself happier, because money was one less thing I had to worry about. It was like, okay, I'm not, if I'm stressed out, it's because of something other than like I can't pay my bills or whatever, right? So money will be more problem to worry about, but money certainly at the same time, if you have all the money you want, it won't be something that just gives you instant happiness forever. I'm just take it from somebody who's had a little bit of money. So anyway, it says evidence shows that most people who make it to the top 1% of income earners usually don't stay at the top for very long, says Washington Post's Janelle Marte. Economist J.L. Zagorski agrees with the research. He writes for U.S. News and World Report. He says that studies found that instead of getting people out of financial trouble, winning the lottery gets people into more financial trouble, since bankruptcy rates soared for lottery winners 3 to 5 years after winning. So here's what's really going on, right? Money is power. I told you guys that earlier. Money is power, and in America, power is money most of the time. Not all the time, but there's a strong connection. When something's powerful, it can be used. It can be used in a way that's almost agnostic or amoral. Money is not good, and money is not evil. Money is just powerful. Anything that's powerful can be used for good. It can be used for powerful amounts of good. You can achieve a lot of great things with that. But it can also be used for amazing amounts of evil. You can destroy people's lives with money. I just got a call from a friend this morning who told me that her son was in a car crash last night, and she showed me video of the car, and the car was just torn to pieces. And I said, it's sad, because a lot of times we forget how powerful a vehicle is, how powerful a car is. You get in a car crash, that car can get twisted up real fast, but you feel secure, so it makes you drive things. But at the end of the day, the car is something that's not to be played with, right? So money is kind of the same way, and so the way to think about that is someone who has lots of money has a lot of leeway to get into a lot of trouble, but if you don't have a lot of money, then you don't have as much leeway to ruin your life. Money tends to make you more of what you already are. So for example, if you're a person who likes to get high, and you're broke, you can only get so high. If you're broke and you got to go to work 40 hours a week, well, you can't sit around getting high all the time, and you can't always buy the dope that you want, right? But imagine if suddenly you were immersed with nothing but money and time, and you like to get high. Well, guess what? You're going to die of a drug overdose, because all you're going to do is get high and drunk all the time, because you've got plenty of time and plenty of money, and you're going to use that time and money to do something that's going to destroy you. Now, on the flip side, though, the good example would be, imagine somebody who likes to do charity, who likes to help, children get an education or whatever it is. Well, when their money's limited, they will say, oh yeah, there are so many things I'd like to do, but like myself, black empowerment, black education, black financial literacy, black economic empowerment especially are very important to me, right? And I do a lot, with the resources that we have, but don't think I don't sit around saying, God, if I had some athlete that invested $50 million in my company, I could change the whole black community overnight. Like, I could literally change everything overnight. And so if you suddenly endowed my company with an extra $50 million, then you would still see Boyce Watkins. You would just see Boyce Watkins on steroids. You would see the same ideologies. You would just see the ideologies on steroids. You would literally see black economic empowerment messages in every media outlet all across the United States, because I would probably buy advertisements on television and radio and print and the digital and just push the hell out of this message, because that's a gospel for me. That's very important for me. That's a life's work for me, right? So ultimately, money just makes you more of what you already are. So what it goes back to is, before you dig into having money, you got to figure out, who are you, and what is your purpose? If you have a purpose and you know who you are, then money is a wonderful thing. But if you have no purpose and you don't know who you are, then you're in danger of ruining your life. So it's really a metaphysical, spiritual journey as much as it is a financial journey. So let me see here. Jay Whitaker, who won $315 million in a lottery in West Virginia in 2002, tells Time, listen to this, y'all. He says, I wish that we had torn that ticket up. Imagine what you got to go through to wish you had torn a $315 million lottery ticket up. I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Like, I think about that. I mean, imagine somebody telling you they just won $350 million. And let's say it's like your brother or your spouse or your little cousin, and they really want, and then you're close to them, they're gonna really hook you up. Like, you'd be super excited, right? And imagine if somebody had a time machine and they came back and they said, you need to tear that ticket up because it's going to ruin your life. Like, imagine what you'd have to go through to get to the point where you would say, I wish I'd torn that $315 million ticket up. Well, let me tell you why he said that. He said that after he won, two things happened. First, his daughter dies of a drug overdose because she's got plenty of money. She's a drug addict. She became a bigger drug addict because now she had plenty of money to burn and plenty of time. And then his granddaughter died of a drug overdose. So first your daughter dies of a drug overdose, then your granddaughter dies of a drug overdose. And then on top of that, just 8 months after he won, he was robbed of over $500,000. Somebody stole $545,000 from him. And then on top of all of that, he said that because he's seen so much death and so much misery and so much despair after winning the lottery, he became a hardened person. He says, quote, I just don't like Jack Whitaker. I don't like the hard heart I've got. I don't like what I've become. So this is a person, this is almost like an episode of The Twilight Zone. By the way, which is a very good show, by the way. Your boy, one of my favorite directors, the guy who did Us. Why can I not remember his name? The brother that made Us and Get Out. Tell me his name so I can move on with my life, because I'm literally mad that his name is out of my brain. Key and Peele. Yeah, his last name is Peele. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the brother who made Get Out, Jordan Peele. Thank you very much. I needed that. I was like, man, what is going on? But I just watched Twilight Zone last night, which is very bad that I couldn't remember his name. But Jordan Peele, I want to say his name, and I want to give the brother props because his work is extraordinary. CBS app is showing Twilight Zone. I love every episode. He's just doing an amazing job. So let me see. Ali Hassan says 8. Thank you for the donation, first of all. And 8, I don't know what 8 means. So maybe you can explain what that means, Ali. But thank you for the support. I appreciate that. Um, so so anyway, the thing is that it sounds like an episode of The Twilight Zone, because it's amazing that a person could, make that much money and wish that they'd never made it. But if you think about it, I mean, your daughter dies of a drug overdose, your granddaughter dies of a drug overdose, you get robbed. All these things are expected to some extent. They weren't surprising to me, because again, there are numerous stories of people that get plenty of money and plenty of free time, and they end up becoming drug addicts or dying from an overdose, because apparently I don't mess with drugs, but I assume drugs that they make you feel good. And there are some people who get to the point where they have no purpose anymore, so they become pleasure seekers. So some of the things that we do, because people aren't trained to really do a deep dive into who they are and figure out what their true purpose is, they just sort of live on autopilot. And what happens is going to work every day and dealing with the kids and the mortgage and all that, that gives people a sense of purpose. So when they kind of lose some of that, that's when you see people getting into drugs and alcohol, stuff like that. Actually, the black man, I don't know if you guys have seen this video that's on my YouTube channel, where I interviewed this 62-year-old black man who said he's never had a job. And he talks about watching his father and his father's friends grow up, or when he's growing up, and they all would work in the steel mills. And because they all worked in steel mills, all they knew was steel. And their whole purpose was to go to work every day in the steel mill and take care of their families. So when the steel mills went out of business and they couldn't provide for their families anymore, and they're sitting at home and their wives are the ones who are bringing home the bacon, these men, not only do they start feeling bad about themselves, but they lose their sense of purpose. And so at that point, you got low self-esteem and you don't have a purpose and you got time to burn. Why not pick up the bottle? Why not drink some liquor to numb away the pain? So next thing you know, he said that's where the winos came from. That's why for your sons especially, you got to make sure your sons have a sense of purpose and an ability, a capability to execute that purpose, so they don't grow up just sitting around in their drawers, in their mama's basement, smoking weed and playing Xbox all day. A lot of black men sit around and do nothing because there isn't anything out there to do, because the white man never gave them a purpose, so they feel like they have no purpose. But if the white man lets them play basketball, then suddenly they say, I'm born to play basketball. Well, no, you weren't born to play basketball. The white man told you were born to play basketball, and you can play basketball, and you should play basketball, especially if they pay you, but that's not your purpose. That's not why you're here. You need to figure out why you decided you're here, not why they decided you're here. A slave should never get his sense of purpose from the master, because the master is going to tell you that your purpose was to be a good slave. Right. So ultimately, for the black man, his biggest struggle is that in many cases, many of our men lose their sense of purpose because their purpose is circled or centered around basketball, football, entertainment, rapping, and getting a record deal, or just getting a job. Right. And those can't be your sole purposes, because all those things can be taken away from you. So the question, black man, that the black man must answer, and I'm speaking specifically about the black man because a lot of you have sons and you see what's happening to the black man in America. The question I have for you, black man, is if the white man decided he wasn't gonna fuck with you no more, excuse my French, and he wasn't gonna back you on nothing, he ain't gonna give you a nickel, a dime, opportunity, or nothing, what becomes your purpose then? Where are you gonna go then? And that's why individuals like Louis Farrakhan are so important, because Louis Farrakhan steps up and tells the black man, your purpose is greater than just getting a job and being a corporate slave. He tells you your purpose is greater than dribbling that basketball and dunking in front of a crowd full of white people. He tells you that your purpose is greater than just making rap songs so that crowds full of white folks can start cheering for you. Your purpose is to protect your community. Your purpose is to uplift and support the black woman. Your purpose is to take care of and nurture your children. Your purpose is to present yourself in a way that will lead to the community being able to admire you and to look up to you and to feel secure by your very presence. That gives them these men purpose. And when a man has his purpose and his dignity, which go hand in hand, purpose and dignity go hand in hand, that you see, like when you look at the Nation of Islam, tell me yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Has anybody else noticed how sharp the brothers are from the Nation? Has anybody ever noticed just how they stand a little differently from everybody? They don't slack. You don't see nobody slouching in the Nation of Islam. You don't see sagging pants, men with the pants down to their ass, in the Nation of Islam. You don't see black men sitting on the corner looking for something to do, looking to get into something, right? You just don't see that. So why? Well, because their purpose and their dignity has been restored by the nation, And I think that that is very important, and it all links together. It all links together. So when you talk about this financial conversation, the reason you see these people getting into bad situations when it comes to money is because they have a bunch of money, which is a bunch of power, but power without purpose becomes destruction. Write that down. Repeat after me. Power without a purpose usually leads to destruction. So money is power, and you have a person with a lot of that power, but they've got no purpose. They've got nothing that they wake up for in the morning, nothing that's productive, nothing that's going to help them to make the world a better place. So they get all this money, and then they find, my gosh, the money doesn't make me happy. I'm as depressed with $100 million in the bank as I was when I had nothing. So I have no purpose for this power. I feel like I have no reason for living. So that might make me suicidal, or maybe it makes me commit slow suicide, where I spend all my time chasing after one woman after the other, chasing after one party after the other, trying to fulfill that emptiness with material possessions, or trying to fill that emptiness with drugs. That's why Deion Sanders always talks about how he was at the top of his career. He was Neon Deion. He was prime time, and he's dancing in the end zone, scoring touchdowns, millions of dollars, girls, cars, money, you name it. And he was ready. He was so suicidal. He was ready to drive his car off a bridge because he felt empty on the inside. Why? Well, because he had no purpose. So the conversation I'm having with you, I'm not really giving you school right now. I'm really giving you church. That's what this is. This is church. And why is it church? Well, because one of the things that Deion found that gave him purpose is what? He started going to church. It was God. It was Christianity. Now, some of y'all might not be Christians. I'm a Christian, but I don't go to church. I'm kind of a heathen. So I'm not really trying to tell you to go to church. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to go to any type of church, but I am telling you to pick a church. Pick the church that's inside of you and find something that gives you meaning in this world. Figure out what means something to you. So go to church, but I'm not telling you to go to church. Like, I'm not telling you to get up and go to, such and such tabernacle and all that. No. What I'm saying to you is, that this is a spiritual process, and so anyway, let me keep going. Let me keep reading. Let's see here. So after 8 months, Jack was robbed of $545,000. He said, I just don't like Jack Whitaker. I don't like the hard heart I've got. I don't like what I've become. That also reminds me of what Will Smith said when he was talking about the fact that, he said, I get sued all the time by people, that I didn't do anything to, people I don't even know, people that just want to try to get money from me. And he said that the biggest challenge that he ran into was learning how to defend himself from the predators without letting his heart go dark. Because that's one of the things that lottery winners can't deal with, is all the people coming up with either greed or need, either, they're trying to steal from you. They're trying to beg to get money from you. They're they're just hammering you like crazy for money, or people will sue you over nothing. Like, if you ever want to find ways to start getting sued, go out and make a lot of money and let people know that you have money. You'll get sued at some point. Somebody will sue you because you stepped on their toe, or you looked at them funny and made them uncomfortable. I'm not kidding. There are things like that out there in the courts. So ultimately, a person who's never had money doesn't know how to deal with all of that. It's very stressful, very nerve-wracking. And so lottery winners, a lot of times, I believe they go bankrupt because they're suddenly playing above the rim economically, and they're in the crosshairs of so many people, and they're not used to that, right? So it's kind of a funny thing. I was talking to my mama about this today. Me and my mama talk about a couple times a week, and I love my mama very much. Call your mama. If you haven't called your mama in a while, call your mama. Mamas don't last forever, so you got to call your mama. So I was talking to my mama. One of the things my mother was telling me was that, we were talking about politics in America and the vilification of the rich. And I said, it's kind of interesting. It's almost like there are some people who believe rich people are bad just because they're rich, right? Didn't do nothing wrong to nobody, did business in an ethical way. You've even tried to help people, but they just believe that they're bad. And I said, so I'm almost convinced that if you're successful, not only will you have haters, but you're just going to have people that are just going to think you're evil just because you're successful. And I said, and I think I figured out that I'd rather be successful and hated than to be a loser and have a whole bunch of friends. You know, because she said, yeah, because even your friends are still gonna know that you're a loser. They're still gonna make fun of you for being a loser. So I said, yeah. So either way, all the shit's fake at the end of the day. Either way, it's all fake, right? When you're rich, you get a bunch of fake friends who are secretly your enemies. Some of whom, some of them, right, who admire you but don't really admire you. But when they see you, that smile on your face, want to be your buddy because they're trying to get close to that money. But when you turn around, they start talking and whatever, right? Not everybody does it, but it happens a lot. Right, but when you're poor, it's like you got a whole bunch of buddies and people saying, "Oh, there's dignity in poverty." No, there's not. There's not dignity in being broke and struggling all the time, especially if there is a better way. And they're gonna make fun of you anyway because you're not winning in life, you're not succeeding, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day, what matters is how you feel about yourself. And so what lottery winners are going through, and this is linking back to the conversation we're having today, what I see is that there are a lot of lottery winners who are dealing with a lot of psychological, social, economic, political, metaphysical challenges that happen when you get a little bit of money. And in fact, there's nothing that gives you more empathy for wealthy people than to become a wealthy person and just realize, like, wait a minute, it is harder than I thought, right? Or it's almost like if you have a job and you always tell your boss or you tell your friends, like, if I were the manager of this department, this is what I do. And then you become the manager and you really see the pressure of being the manager, and you suddenly kind of get a little bit of empathy for what people were trying to deal with, right? So that's one of the things I think that's driving the reason that these lottery winners end up going broke or end up going bankrupt more than everybody else. So anyway, the next paragraph says, he's the last person I would have prototyped for going completely crazy, but he did. Don McNay, a financial consultant to lottery winners and author of Life Lessons from the Lottery, tells Time about Whitaker. No questions, it was because he won the lottery. McNay says many winners struggle with suicide, depression, and divorce. Quote, it's the curse of the lottery because it made their lives worse instead of improving them, he says. Another major struggle that winners often face is saying no to friends and family who hope to join in on the good fortune. Charles Conrad, a senior financial planner for Cesarca Financial, told Teresa Dixon Murray, once family and friends learn of the windfall, they have expectations of what they should be entitled to, he explained. It can be very difficult to say no. And that's really tough. That's a tough one. I don't know. Tell me if you've ever dealt with that. If you've dealt with, relatives that want to borrow money. Oh, Lord, I had to forgive a whole lot of deadbeats in my family, but it is what it is. Of course, some lottery winners survive the tumult and go on to thrive. Missouri lottery winner Sandra Hayes has managed to keep her head above water, even after splitting her $224 million Powerball jackpot with 12 coworkers. Quote, I had to endure the greed and need that people have trying to get you to release your money to them. That caused a lot of emotional pain, she told the Associated Press. These are people who you loved deep down, and they're turning into vampires trying to suck the life out of me. That's an interesting sort of phenomenon. Financial psychology is really fascinating to me. That's what my specialty was when I was in grad school. And what I really see is that it's not that these people don't love you. It's that money does change people. Money changes people the same way drugs change people. When somebody's high, they act very different from when they're not high. When they're drunk, they're different from when they're not drunk, right? Or when they're hungry, they act differently from when they're not hungry. If they're horny, they act differently from when they're not horny. So it comes down to kind of needs. And when people have a need and they, and they like, it's like food. Like imagine if you're really, really hungry, if you're starving and, and you've got a friend that's sitting there and they got this like delicious meal, like right there in front of you. You can smell the food. And I mean, it's very difficult to not ask for some of the food, right? Or maybe you can feel like guilt tripping them because they won't share the food with you. Or maybe when they go to the bathroom, you sneak a French fry off of their plate, right? Because you're hungry, right? Or even if you think about sexuality, a lot of men, especially men, get in trouble because of the way our hormones work, right? The man thinks about sex every 7 seconds. And so when a man is sexually incomplete, if you will, like he's feeling sexually unfulfilled, he can make bad decisions that cost him everything, right? So money's kind of the same way. When somebody's really broke, it changes their behavior. And what it does is, if you do become that person that just won the lottery and you're doing really well financially, and you have friends around you who are not doing well financially, it becomes difficult for you to include your friends in the things that you do. So you may say, oh yeah, I just won this lottery money. I want to take everybody to the Bahamas, right? So you feel like you're being a good friend. So you take all your friends to the Bahamas, right? And because you just won $100 million, let's say you spend $10,000 a piece on all your, so you drop $40,000 on this great trip to the Bahamas. Well, if you got a friend right next to you who needs $2,000 to pay her rent, then and she comes and mentions that to you, and you've actually said words to her that don't mean anything when you're broke, but they mean a lot when you're rich. Like you've said things like, well, if you ever need anything, let me know, right? We say that all the time, right? But we don't really necessarily always mean it. Sometimes we mean it, sometimes we don't. And then sometimes we mean it because we know that if somebody really needs something big, we can't really do it anyway. Like if you come and ask me for, or most people, you come and ask for $5,000-$10,000, they're like, well, I can't. I would do it if I could, but I can't, right? But what if you really can do it? What if you really have 30,000 in the bank and your friend needs to borrow 5? Right? 5 versus 30, in their mind, it's like, of course, it's not a big deal to you. You still got 25,000 left. But in your mind, you might be thinking, yeah, but I just loaned this person 3,000 and that person 4,000 and that person 5,000. Y'all just gonna whittle away at me until I have nothing left, right? And if I get into financial trouble, then there will be nobody to save me, right? So this creates really difficult conversations. And so that's why you see when people get a lot more money, they sometimes end up changing their circle. And it's not because, in most cases, I don't think it's always because they just become uppity or they've just forgotten where they came from. It's because people can't be around you. Broke people have a hard time being around a really rich person without remembering that they are rich. Like that's just going through their head. It's hard for them to see you're Diddy, you got $1 billion and you at grandma's house in the hood where everybody's broke. They're gonna remember that you're the billionaire. It's gonna change how they treat you, how they talk to you, what problems they bring to you, what they expect from you. And it takes time, again, rich people problems, and I think a guy like Diddy has this kind of figured out where it takes time to know how to balance between being there for the people you love versus not letting all of everybody else's problems kind of drain you. So a lottery winner is suddenly thrown into this space of millionaires where they got millionaire problems and they don't know how to solve millionaire problems. So it does a few things. It drives them crazy. It might leave them broke. And it might cause family fights, etc. The list goes on and on. Okay, so anyway, there's more here. Let me see. She says that this last lady says, it says that the former social worker has avoided financial misfortune by maintaining her frugal lifestyle, even though she no longer lives paycheck to paycheck. Quote, I know a lot of people who won the lottery and are broke today, she said. If you're not disciplined, you will go broke. I don't care how much money you have. And I think that's an important lesson to understand. Never fall into the mindset that just getting a big fat check is going to make your financial problems go away. The reason it won't make your financial problems go away most of the time is because it won't make you go away. It won't make you go away. What you're doing on a daily basis has more to do with where you are than where somebody placed you, right? It's like a race. Like if Usain Bolt is running in a 200-meter dash and you place him behind everybody else, well, he's eventually going to get to the front because he's Usain Bolt, right? But you take my fat, slow ass and put me at the very front and give me a 20-meter head start, and I'm running against Olympic sprinters, they will pass me before we pass the 80-yard marker, right? You follow me? So it's the speed with which I'm running that plays the greater part in my position in the race, not where I started the race in the first place. So we can't act like, where you start doesn't matter, right? We know it matters. We know it matters. And I have to say that because I get a lot of people that come in that have a more socialist sort of mindset. I'm not a big fan of socialism, not because I hate it, but because I do believe there are merits to it, but I don't want to live in a social society. I don't want America to be a socialist country. I don't know if that's good for America. I just don't. Economically speaking, I haven't seen good examples of socialism where it's really, really worked from an economic standpoint. I think that the better solution is to have some socialism sprinkled into our capitalism to balance the capitalism, because capitalism is like spicy food, and too much spicy food just will burn out your insides or whatever. So you got to kind of tone it down a little bit. but I don't want to be Venezuela. I don't want to be Russia. I don't want to be any, or even China before they became a little more free enterprise oriented. Even China was a kind of a despicable place to be, economically speaking. Now they've gotten better because they've sort of understood the balance that free enterprise, supporting thriving businesses and all that stuff can actually be beneficial to the society. You can't just go destroy every business and every business owner, and that's not going to be good for Black people. So anyway, I throw in that point that I just made to kind of let you know that where you start does matter, right? It will be great. That's why I tell you guys, for the next generation, we want our children starting in a better place than we did, right? So yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Have you started doing things to this point in your life that are going to make sure that your children start off at a place better than you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you have a life insurance policy? Yes or no? Do you have a stock portfolio? Yes or no? Do you have maybe a small business that you can give your kids? I read a story about a sister that gave her daughter, 16-year-old daughter, gave her a business for her birthday instead of a car. Yes or no? Do you have maybe a savings plan? Do you have any plan? Do you have anything? I mean, are you doing yes or no? Okay, I see a lot of yeses. And that's where it begins. You don't have to make your kids millionaires, even though that is doable. I actually have a digital lecture. Actually, if you go to drboycebundlepack.com, that's drboycebundlepack.com, there are a bunch of digital lectures. You can look through them, and I break down models. These are unique models. These are not in any textbook at any university. These are things I came up specifically for the Black community, and I'm qualified to do this because I have a PhD in finance. That's what gives me the ability to do these things. But basically, I explain all that: how to turn your child into a millionaire by the age of 28, how to build your own family bank, and there's a bunch of other stuff. So feel free to go to drboycebundlepack.com if you want to take a look. But the point is, you got to do something. You got to do something because you have in your possession one of the most valuable financial assets in the history of all mankind, and that is the gift of time. That is the gift of time. But time, if some of you have you heard of the theory of relativity with Einstein? The theory of relativity? Well, the theory of relativity kind of talks about time, right? And it talks about how time and space and all that plays a part in how things turn out in the world, et cetera. Well, I got the theory of relatives, right? My theory of relativity has to do with the fact that if you look at your relatives from a particular point of view, you've got all the time in the world, right? So the Dr. Boyce theory of relativity says that if I'm looking and I'm playing this game, not for me to win, not just for me to win. I mean, I want to win the game. I want to get a little something out of it, right? But I'm playing the game for my loved ones to win, then I've got all the time in the world. I'm not sitting here, if I'm 65, I'm not sitting here saying, well, I'm not going to invest because I don't have much time and I'm going to, I may not live no more than another 10, 15, 20 years. And so why should I invest? No, well, but if you are 65 and you have a granddaughter that was born yesterday, well, your granddaughter is going to be alive 70 years from now, most likely 80 years from now, right? 80 years from now is almost the year 2100. Do you know how much money you could create if you invested something and let it grow for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years? Warren Buffett invested $144 in the S&P 500 in 1942. That money is now worth about $600,000. $600,000. So don't tell me that you don't have enough time, and don't tell me that you don't have anything to invest with. Don't tell me you don't have any reason to invest, because the Dr. Boyce theory of relativity says that you got relatives who are going to be here long after you're gone. So again, I told you guys, I don't really do school. I probably do church. I'm really a preacher. My gospel is Black economic empowerment. And just like a preacher, I can tell you all day about the afterlife. And the afterlife for me is not just, oh, we're going to die, the streets will be paved with gold and you'll get 72 virgins and whatever these religions teach you. I'm not talking about, or give me $10 and I'll make sure you get to heaven. I'm not talking about that kind of afterlife. I'm talking about the real afterlife that I can actually prove. I can't prove what happens in heaven, but I can prove what happens on earth. And the afterlife that I can prove to be real is that after you're gone, people will be living after you're gone and will be affected by what you choose to do in this life. So when I talk about the afterlife, when Pastor Boyce talks about the afterlife, I'm talking about after your life is over, how your family gonna be living. You are the ancestor. They say there's a saying that says that you are nothing more than a memory of your future self. We are nothing more than memories of our future selves. And you can even go deeper. You can say we are nothing more than memories of our future ancestors. We are the ancestors. We are the past. And we know that just simple basic physics, the physics of life tells us that what you do in the present affects what happens in the future. Just like the reason that you are who you are right now is because of what somebody else did or did not do in the past. You know, maybe some of y'all, maybe some ladies have issues with men because of what your daddy did or didn't do in the past. Or maybe you have something with your parents because they chose to have sex 40 years ago and they wasn't thinking about who they were having sex with, right? Or maybe your parents did something good in the past that prepared you for the present and you benefit from that, right? So you need to be able to do, in mathematics, the concept that we have for this is called dynamic optimization. Dynamic optimization is basically like, you know, they say, you know, don't play checkers, play chess. Well, dynamic optimization is like super chess, right? It's like a high level version of chess. Dynamic optimization basically says that if you want to make the optimal decision in the present, you don't start with where you are. You don't look at the present to figure it out. You look at the future and you look at where you want to end up, and then you start working backward, right? You say, okay, by the year 2090, I want my family to look like this. So that means we have to be here by 2080, here by 2070, here by 2060, here by 2020, or excuse me, 2050, then 2040, 2030, 2019, right? Dynamic optimization is how people build wealth. That's how you build a fortune. That's how you make a plan to conquer the world. That's how you win wars. Dynamic optimization. So what I want you to do is I want you to really think about, I want you to sit and again, this is all, everything I talk about. I told you, I'm not doing class, I'm doing church here. Everything's metaphysical. So what I need you to do is I need you to one day meditate on your descendants. I need you to meditate on all the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren that are going to be here after you're gone, and how all those individuals are going to be affected by what you choose to do and choose not to do in this generation. I want you to imagine that it's the year 2080 and they only know about you because they see your picture on the wall, because you left so much wealth that they don't have to work now, so they celebrate you. I want you to picture the life in the future where they are affected by the choices you make right now. And then once you wake up and you go from being sort of this ancestor who's dead and gone, or who got old and died in a hospice, and now you're young again, you're free to make whatever decision you want. The question then becomes, what is your next move? What is your next move? And the reason I share this with you is because that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do. And what happens is that when you do dynamic optimization, you come up with solutions that are different from everybody else. You have an amount of optimism that exceeds everybody else because you've seen the future. The reason that I am able to override pretty much all the obstacles that I see in 2019 is because I've been to the year 2079 and it's beautiful. And I have the opportunity to make it even more beautiful than I know that it's going to be. And that's why I move with such enthusiasm, because I've seen the year 2079. So I want you all to see that year with me so that you can make decisions now that will position your family for power and wealth 50, 67 years down the line. What I'm going to do is be an advisor. I'm not a leader. I want to be an advisor, and I want to be the team mathematician. And as the team mathematician, I can show you basic models that will tell you, okay, if you invest this much money and you do it consistently and you put in the S&P 500 and you allow it to grow for this amount of time and you invest with this rate of consistency, you can have this much wealth. So I want you to start also with another basic exercise. I want you to go and I want you to just make a commitment right now that you will, that whatever amount of money you spend on fast food, you will put that same amount of money into the stock market. That's all you got to do. Whatever amount of money you spend on fast food, you will put that same amount of money in the stock market. What that means is that if you go to McDonald's or Taco Bell, I don't care where you eat. I'm not going to shame you because I don't want you shaming me. And you spend $8 at McDonald's, I want you to remember to put $8 into your stock portfolio. If you go to Applebee's, that's not fast food, but it's still consumption, right? If you go to Applebee's and you spend $28, I want you to try to remember to go into your app, maybe Acorns, Stash, or Robinhood, and I want you to buy $28 worth of stock. Just give yourself a matching funds program. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep living the life you're living. Don't change a thing. I'm not telling you not to live your life. I'm not telling you to be a miser. I'm not telling you not to enjoy life or to enjoy your money. I'm telling you to make sure that you implement balance so that when you purchase all these assets and you engage in this slow accumulation, that long term, after you hold these assets over a certain period of time, you'll get the benefit in the wealth growth in America the same way the 1% does. I'm going to answer some of the questions from you guys that are in the webinar in the Q&A section. Let me see here. Derek says, greetings to the good doctor. Salute to Ryan McCrary. Yeah, Ryan is in Philadelphia, and Ryan is a great guy, and he is so smart, and I like this guy. And his book, I just saw his book on my dresser today, and I think it's called Mind Over Money. Is that right? I believe it's called Mind Over Money. If it's not, if I got the title wrong, please put it in the chat so everybody can see Ryan's book. Ryan McCrary is very smart black man. And also, I'll be in Philadelphia May 19th. So if you want to come to the seminar, we're going to do an all-day seminar. You can learn more at drboycephiladelphia.com. That's drboycephiladelphia.com. Also, if you haven't gotten started in the Black Money sequence, you can actually get started really easily with Black Money 101 by going to blackmoney101.com. That's blackmoney101.com. Just make sure when you're done with the material that you pick up your certificate, get your certificate, get it framed, and put it up on your wall. We want to be a degree granting institution. We want to grant accreditations. We're not seeking accreditations because we are built for one purpose, and that's to serve the Black community and to solve problems in the Black community. But we want to have our own university. We believe in the Black Core of Three. The Black Core of Three says that we believe Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black businesses. So in alignment with the Black Core of Three, that's how we do things. So feel free to go to blackmoney101.com. If you've already done that, you can go to Black Money 102, which is all about the stock market, blackmoney102.com. The list goes on and on, all the way up to 106. Let me see here. Robert Henderson says, you are Buffett. I think you mean Buffett. And I'm not Warren Buffett, but, I think I understand Warren Buffett's investing style. He got a lot of his investing style from a book called by two guys named Graham and Dodd. And I think it's called Value Investing. So I kind of understand, I understand Warren Buffett's investing style. Let me see here, Doctor, you have too many websites. Just make one huge site for your stuff. Well, I do have BoyceWatkins.com. I mean, you can always go there. So feel free to take a look at that. Dr. Boyce, what's up with Paris Milan? I don't know much about Paris Milan. I just know that Paris used to work with us, and she's now working somewhere else. But I'm not fighting with no Black people in 2019. If you still eat at McDonald's and Taco Bell, etc., please stop, says Duty Red. Okay, you're right. We should stop. But, then again, I got kids. That's my excuse. Okay, let's see here. Derek Williams, my daughter completed the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program. The Starbucks Philadelphia controversy, my daughter doubled down on her position and we made money. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a ideological kind of thing. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to invest in, what not to invest in. But I will tell you that there's something to be said about the fact that just sitting around screaming and hollering about what other people do will kind of leave you broke and marginalized. And there are some people who don't really need to get loud. They just get quiet on you. Like the Chinese actually have mastered the art of what I call quiet power. Quiet power is, where the Chinese, if you upset them, they're not going to yell and scream and holler about it. They're not going to picket in front of your building. They're not even going to use the military. They're not going to show up with, like launch a nuclear warhead at you or pull up, with a bunch of battle cruisers on your shores threatening to blow you to kingdom come. The Chinese will just do little things like, throw out sanctions on you, or they will, or suddenly the big billion-dollar contract you have to go and make and make, auto parts in China, suddenly there's a regulatory barrier that keeps that from happening, and they're apologizing. Well, we're sorry, but we can't do the deal anymore. And they just kind of quietly and innocently go along with very quiet power. And I think that there's something to be said about quiet power. So I kind of think, I don't know about you. Tell me yes or no if you feel the same way. I kind of get emotionally exhausted trying to find a way to boycott every company that we see that's white supremacist. Like, it wears me down. Like I don't know who to be mad at. I get tired of trying to be mad at everybody. Being mad is not fun. It's not good for your health. It probably causes cancer and stuff. So I just try to figure out the game and figure out how me and my family can win. That's the background I come from. In my family, my mother and I were talking about that today. My mother, she brought that up. She said, we didn't really care what everybody else down the street was doing. We just took care of ours. We just made sure we did what we were supposed to do. We made sure y'all got an education. We made sure that the bills were paid. We made sure we kept our credit right. We made sure we saved our money. And it didn't matter if a Democrat or a Republican was in office. We felt that where we ended up was based on what we chose to do, the decisions that we made. I'm not saying that those things don't matter. I'm just saying that I think Black people, we have a lot of emotional energy, and we are used to kind of screaming and hollering about anything and everything. And that's just exhausting, man. And I don't even know how effective it is. I just really don't. I don't blend well in a society where I'm sitting around mad because white people won't invite me to their tea party, or where I'm mad because white people won't integrate me into their systems, or they won't let me go to their schools, or they won't let my children play in their playground. I just don't care. I want to build a playground. I want to have my own schools. I want us to have our own businesses. And then at that point, you don't care what other people are doing, because you're not begging for a seat at the table. Just go build a damn table. Don't beg for a seat at the table. Build a table. Let other people beg you for the seat. Let's see. Derek says, a general question. I asked Ryan McCrary this on Wednesday. What's your favorite sector of the market? I like technology and healthcare. I don't have a favorite sector, to be honest with you. I just don't. I think all of the sectors are interesting. I think it's not so much a matter of picking a favorite sector. It's really a matter of knowing the characteristics of every sector. Some sectors are built on growth. Some sectors are built more on value investing. And so, for example, technology would have what they call high price earnings ratios, which means that the price of the stock is high relative to the earnings, which means these companies are expected to really grow. And so the problem with high price earnings ratio stocks or the tech sector is that, while there is, massive growth is expected, but little pieces of information can cause a huge disruption in the price, because a lot of your hopes and dreams on the companies, because a lot of these companies are what they call unicorns, companies worth over $1 billion. And they're these tiny tech companies that just started 3 years ago. They haven't made any profits yet, and because most of the value is from money that's going to be obtained in the future, any little piece of information can disrupt that price significantly. Whereas, if you compare it to a company, the types of companies that Warren Buffett likes, like Coca-Cola and General Motors, he likes companies that where, their value is stuff that you can see and touch and feel. It's not built on the future, it's built on the present, right? So it's like the difference between, if you look at golfers, like there's a difference between Tiger Woods as a 21-year-old with all this potential versus Tiger Woods as a 43-year-old who has won a bunch of tournaments, who's still good. He's still winning. He's still making money, still getting ratings, but he's kind of on the downslope. But some would say that he's worth more now, than he was worth then, because back then it was all about potential, whereas now he's kind of built that brand. He is Tiger Woods. He is generating the ratings and the revenues, and he's already got the wins and the trophies, right? So different companies are at different stages of the life cycle. So a lot of tech companies tend to be in that earlier stage of the life cycle, and so it's not so much a matter of right or wrong, good or bad. Most companies are supposed to be, according to a theory called the efficient markets hypothesis, most companies are supposed to be pretty much priced exactly the way they're supposed to be priced. Like the pricing is about right. It's really a matter of picking the stock that fits, what kind of investor you are. Like, do you like a portfolio that goes up and down, up and down, up and down, or do you want something that's a little more stable? What age are you? Also diversifying is very important too. All right, so Bomani says, greetings, Dr. Watkins. Okay, that's a long question. So try not to give me give me questions that are less than 2 sentences, because I can't, the whole paragraph, Bomani. I love you, Bomani, but that's a long question. Let me see. My name is Bomani. I'll be relocated to Toronto from Brooklyn. After experiencing racist situations on the job, I decided to flee the plantation and work for myself. Good for you. As a latecomer to entrepreneurship, what's the best strategy to save and invest for retirement when you're investing in your business? The best strategy is to look into, they have, tax deferred retirement plans specifically for entrepreneurs. Look into those so that you can still get the tax benefits. You can still set up the, the 401ks and all that stuff. but you want to maybe talk to a financial advisor about how to set them up so you can get the specialized tax treatment. Also, as an entrepreneur, health, getting health insurance. A lot of people think that's really hard to do. It's not that hard to do in my experience. You just go find, a company and buy health insurance. I use the blackinsurancenetwork.com, theblackInsuranceNetwork.com. I reach out to them at theblackInsuranceNetwork.com. Her name's Yolanda. That's the lady that runs it. Tell her I sent you. And basically she sets me up with whatever insurance I need. I have several policies through them, and it's worked out just fine. I can go to the doctor whenever I want, all that stuff. I think, really as an entrepreneur, the big thing you want to avoid is having too much of your money and too much of your wealth tied up solely in your one business, because if that one business goes down, you're going to get hit pretty hard. So you want to make sure you strike a balance where, especially if you start making money, spread that money out, like put some money in stocks over here, put some money in your tax deferred stuff over there, put some money in, real estate over here, maybe invest in other businesses over there. Especially if your business starts to generate a lot of cash flow. If it generates a lot of cash flow, don't just keep a bunch of cash in that one business. You spread that money out. Like, so for example, Mark Zuckerberg, being the jerk that he is, banning people for free speech or whatever. One thing about Zuckerberg, though, is that he started Facebook, and Facebook becomes worth billions of dollars. Well, when Facebook went public and suddenly all these people were giving, like literally probably picked up, I don't know if Zuckerberg's worth 100 billion or 80 billion, it's some insane amount of money. He started spreading the money out and investing in other spaces so that all his money wasn't tied up in Facebook. So you want to actually do the same thing, so that you're spread out and well diversified as you prepare for retirement. Any alternatives to investing in the U.S. stock exchange? They have things like American depository receipts and things like that allow you to invest outside of the U.S. Also, they have mutual funds that specialize in other countries and emerging markets and things like that. So you can look for companies, like you could still go through, say, E-Trade or Ameritrade and just find a mutual fund that invests in, in companies in China or whatever. Like even Stash and Acorns allow you to invest outside of the United States. Nakia Clark, life insurance, 4 policies. My 3-year-old has 23 different stocks. A little crypto. You've taught me a lot. Keep it up. Okay, awesome. Wow, look at you. Her 3-year-old has 23 stocks. I love that. So in the spirit of Nakia, you've inspired me to make my last recommendation here before we get out of here. I want everybody to commit to buying some stock, for your children. Maybe keep it in your own account if you want to. But maybe, I don't know where your budget's at, but on a lot of these apps, you can buy stocks for like $5 and stuff like that. So money's not really an excuse. I mean, if you can afford a Happy Meal, you can afford a share stock. And so maybe start buying like maybe one stock each month or a couple stocks a month for your kids, and just promise yourself that you're not going to sell. That's the key thing. Like don't sell, just hold it and just keep it. And then, when your children get older, those stocks should be worth a lot more money, especially if you buy a bunch of different ones. So if they got birthdays coming up, buy them stock for their birthday. Buy them toys too. Like kids, don't just buy them stock. That will make you an evil parent, right? But so buy them stock and toys. Like mix it up. Christmas time, stock and toys. Just make that part of your family culture. A lot of wealth building is very cultural, and that's one thing that they don't teach. So yeah, you could go to business school and learn a whole bunch of stuff. But if the habits of wealth building are not part of your culture, part of your habits, then you're not going to build anything. It's like when I went to school, I learned all this stuff about investing and finance and even entrepreneurship a little bit, but I didn't practice any of it because it wasn't how I grew up. It wasn't what my family did. It's like learning about eating healthy food or whatever. But if you're not in a family that believes in eating healthy food, you're going to eat the food that tastes good, right? So you really have to internalize this. You have to, push yourself to implement it on a small scale. Don't make it something that you have to do on some massive, gigantuan scales. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just do little basic stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, I just really think, even though America is a country that has a lot of issues and a lot of shortcomings, it also is a country that has a few opportunities for people to do certain things. Like, so, the white man can stop you from doing a lot of stuff in America, but he can't stop you from reading books. He can't stop you from investing in the same companies he invests in. He can't stop you from starting businesses. So I encourage you to start with the things that you can do and not just get overwhelmed by the things that you feel that you can't do. Last question, Ron Hall, what's the best example of a Black business school graduate that has created business and opportunity for Black people? There are plenty of examples. We actually have a lot of testimonials. If you go to theblackbusinessschool.com, you can actually see some of the testimonials. theblackbusinessschool.com. Also, if you're a student in the Black Business School, say something if you've had a good experience, or if it's changed your perspective, or if you're doing something different. Please feel free to state that. There are plenty of, if you search for Black Business School reviews and stuff online, you'll find excellent reviews. Most people say this. Tell me yes or no. If you're in the Black Business School, tell me yes or no. Most people feel that what they've learned from us is better than what they've learned in college. They went to 4 years of college, and we taught them more about investing, finance, in entrepreneurship and business than they learned in 4 years of college. Yes or no? Some of y'all may not even be in the Black Business School yet, which I hope that everybody will join. But even if you're not, tell me yes or no. Have you learned more from just listening to me talk to you casually about investing in finance than you learned in college for 4 years? Some of y'all still sitting under student loan debt. Yes or no? Yes or no? And that to me is the ultimate testimonial, in the sense that that's what I want you to share with people. I don't want you to tell them anything about the Black Business School that is not true, right? I don't want you out here lying on our behalf. I just want you all to tell people how great it is. And we got students at a lot of big universities that are drowning in the debt, that can't pay the bill, that have 80,000 in student loan debt that'll be on their backs for the rest of their life, who are frustrated with their professors because their professors are racist. They're going to some school like USC, and they feel that they're not welcome there, and they're being charged $70,000 a year to be in a place they're not welcome. So you're being charged money from your family that you can't get back to be in a place where you're not welcome, you're not loved, you're not supported, you're not being taught the right things, you're not being taught to be an asset to your community. So all we're really telling people is, don't be scared to come on home. We got the same PhDs like they have. There's no difference. I have friends and colleagues who went to teach at schools like USC, right? I know that system extremely well. I've taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, the Ohio State University. I taught in China. I taught in Europe. I taught all around the world. So, and I got other people who know the things that I don't know. And so I just tell people, don't be scared to come back home. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep spending $70,000 a year at USC if that's what you're doing, but spend a couple of dollars to be a part of the Black Business School, and we'll give you more than what they're giving you. And we'll even forgive you for the fact that you're still not sure, that you're still giving them the bulk of your resources. I don't agree with that from a philosophical standpoint, because I think that it's been proven pretty clear that a college degree for at least half of all Black college graduates was a raw deal. So we're not necessarily trying to replace. We just want to supplement to make sure that people get what they need. So when people ask me, do I think that people should go to college or learn how to start businesses and invest? I say they should probably learn both. The question becomes, if you think about it as a horse and carriage kind of thing, where between a college degree and learning how to invest, which one is the horse and which one is the carriage? Well, I think that learning to invest is the horse and the college degree is the carriage, right? And why? Well, because with a horse, you can go a long way with a horse, even if it's not pulling a carriage. So you can get the horse and ride the horse on its back and go a long way. But if you just got the carriage, then you might just be sitting there because you have no power. You have no powernomics, no power to propel you forward, right? So the college degree becomes the carriage, because what happens is a lot of our students go to college and they get this degree and they're sitting in the carriage, and they need a horse to pull them, right? Meaning that you learn how to go to school. You went to school to learn how to market, but you need a company to hire you as a marketer for you to actually do what you were trained to do, because you don't know how to start that business on your own, right? Or you went to school to learn fashion design, but you can't practice what you know until somebody gives you a job to actually allow you to even do what you're good at, right? So you're basically sitting in the carriage and you're waiting for the horse to pull you. The problem for Black people is that white people own all the horses. So if you're lucky enough to have them put up a horse and attach it to your carriage and pull you down the road, the problem is that it's not your horse, and the horse is going to go in whatever direction it wants to take you, right? Whereas Black people that actually own horses, even if they have no carriage, they can still go pretty far down the line. So somebody who has a college degree, who doesn't know how to be a wealth builder, is going to be stuck if the prevailing economic system does not give them what they need, right? They're going to be like in the carriage sitting on the side of the road. But a person who is a wealth builder can get by even if they don't have a college degree. Am I right or am I right? Yes or no? Yes or no? Tell me if you understand where I'm coming from. Tell me if this argument is making sense to you. A person who says, look, I don't want to go to college, but I'm going to spend 2 years learning all I can about how to invest in the stock market, how to invest in real estate. I'm going to spend all my time becoming the best, absolute best entrepreneur I can possibly be. That person has a horse and they can ride that horse as far as they want. So now whether they attach a carriage to the horse, that's on them. I'm not telling you not to put the carriage onto your horse. Maybe being a wealth builder and having a college degree gives you benefits and capabilities that other people don't have. My brother is like that. My brother went to Cornell. He made a lot of connections, met a lot of great people. But before he went to Cornell, he was already a wealth builder. He already knew how to invest. He knew how to start his own business. So when he graduated, he didn't look for a job. He didn't need a job. They were offering $200,000 a year for some of those MBA graduates. He didn't even go to the job fairs because he said, once I learned the power and the freedom of having my own business, I can't work for anybody else. I'm not fit for that. I can't do that. It's psychological. I can't do slavery because I love the lifestyle too much, right? So ultimately, that's what I'm saying to you, right? I don't think that being a wealth builder and going to college have to be interchangeable or one has to substitute the other. You can certainly do both. But where I am taking a firm stand, and I'm not backing away from this, is that I do believe that for the Black man and the Black woman in America, being a wealth builder is far more important than being a college graduate. I do believe that for the Black man and Black woman in America, that being a wealth builder gives you far more power than you have as a college graduate. I do know that for the Black man and Black woman in America, that a wealth builder knows how to create opportunities, whereas most college graduates only know how to wait for opportunities or to seek out or beg for opportunities. They don't know how to create opportunities. So it's the difference between playing a sport with a person who waits for the game to come to them versus somebody who is what they call a playmaker. A playmaker can make something happen no matter what. Michael Jordan was a playmaker. The guy at the end of the bench, he can shoot if you give him an open shot, or he will score if the game comes to him. Michael Jordan made the game come to him. So that's a type of power that a wealth builder has versus someone who just has a college degree. The wealth builder has the ability to reshape their reality. They can reshape their environment. They can find money where it appears that no money's there. A person with a college degree, on average, most college degrees recipients that I know, unfortunately, they only know how to see an opportunity if it comes with a paycheck and a job. That's where they see the opportunity. So if there are no jobs, they see no opportunities. And that's where you're missing 90% of all the power that exists out here in this world. I'm gonna give you one last example, and then I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm a real astronomy buff. I'm really fascinated with the size of the universe and all the things that happen in outer space. And one thing that's really fascinated me is this concept called dark matter. Dark matter and dark energy, basically, they're these forces that are out there that move the stars and the galaxies and the solar systems. And the problem with dark matter and dark energy is that they can't find it. They don't see it anywhere, right? They measure all the weight of the universe and all the matter that's out there, and they say that we measured all the matter, but we're missing 96% of all the matter and all the energy that's actually out in the universe. How is this happening that, that there's this massive force out there that we can't see with the instruments that we have? And that's what they call dark energy. Dark energy actually moves the universe, and they're like, we can't even find it, right? Well, to me, the difference between a college graduate looking for a job and a wealth builder who knows how to create a job is the difference between regular matter and dark matter, or regular energy and dark energy. A college graduate will look out, a Black college graduate will say, like one rapper said to me, I mentored this young rapper who had a baby, and he was about 23 years old. And I said, how you doing, man? How things with the baby? Are you getting by okay? And he said, man, I'm really struggling. He said, because these white folks ain't hiring. And I said, I don't ever want to hear you say that to me again, because I don't speak that language. I don't speak the language of begging. I don't speak the language of feeling sorry for yourself. I can't relate to you on that. And I'm just gonna tell you that man to man. Because here's the thing, and I told him this. I said, look, the best thing you can learn as a young rapper is how to be a young businessman too, because there's billions of dollars in the industry that you're in. There's opportunities everywhere. There's money everywhere. The problem is that you only know how to see the money if it appears in a specific form, if it comes in the form of a record deal and, and a paycheck, right? So a person with a college degree looking for a job is a person that sees regular matters. So they see 4, 5, 6, 10% of what's out there. An entrepreneur has the magical ability to identify dark energy, the energy that the regular people cannot see, the opportunity that other people can't see. So two people can walk in a room, one with a bachelor's degree from Yale looking for a job, and the other who's gone through, let's say, the Black Business School or some other program where they've learned to be a wealth builder, they learned to be an investor, they learned real estate, they learned how to start a business. And those people can walk into the same room and see two totally different things. One person walks in and says, man, there ain't nothing in here, ain't no jobs. I went to every table and there ain't nobody hiring. The wealth builder will walk in the room and say, what are you talking about, man? There's millions of dollars in here. I got a cousin, I kid you not, a cousin, didn't go to college, ain't got no college degree, but he's worth millions of dollars. He's about 29, 30 years old, worth millions of dollars. He's at one of those fancy incubators for tech companies, because him and his boy came up with a great company that does this technology. I can't even tell you much about it because it's kind of like proprietary information. But here's what's really funny. So here this young Black man didn't get a college degree, nothing. We were all sitting and talking about wealth and money. Our family does that. That's what your family should do too. We have financial conversations all the time. Tomorrow night, we're going to have our family business meeting that we have every Sunday. And so maybe 3 of my cousins are like corporate types. They work at the corporate jobs and they make good money or whatever. And then 2 or 3 of my other cousins were like entrepreneurs. And we started talking about making money. And my cousin, you know what he said? The one that's the millionaire that's 30 years old or 31, however old he is. he said, man, there's money everywhere. Because somebody else has said, man, I just don't know what to do, and I'm trying to quit my job, and I just don't know how I'm going to pay the bills and get, however much money I need. And my cousin, the entrepreneur, said, what are you talking about? He said, there's money everywhere. And the reason that he can see things different from what my corporate cousin could see is that he knows all the different forms that money comes in, right? So some people can see a bunch of seeds and say, man, I'm hungry, there's no food in the house. But somebody else will see the seeds and say, oh my God, we got so much food here. When I go upstairs, or even knowing how to cook, there's another good example. I go upstairs, I swear to God, I will look in the refrigerator and shut it and say, hey, there's nothing to eat, babe. Like, there's no food in the house. And she'll go in that same damn kitchen where I just walked out of and said that there's no food in the house, and she will make the best meal that you've ever had in your life. Well, what's the difference? The difference is that she knows how to cook and I don't. So when I see a frozen steak and some canned goods or whatever, like, I'm sitting there thinking, man, there's nothing in here because I can't pour a bowl of cereal or heat up something in the microwave. And she knows how to take all the ingredients and make it into whatever she wants. So an entrepreneur, this is what I'm getting at. This is why I want your children to become wealth builders. Pay attention. This ain't school. This is church, y'all. I'm telling you, because this is spiritual. This is a gospel. This is what you have to make one of your key values in your family if you want your family to survive and if you want them to thrive. An entrepreneur is like an economic cook. They're an economic chef. A chef is not somebody who only gets to eat if the restaurants are open. A chef is not a person who only gets to eat if they can go to the grocery store, right? A chef is somebody who can grow the food in the backyard, pull the food into the house, chop it up, cook it, mix it up, put spices in it, and make an excellent meal. So the big problem we have in the Black community is that we are always seeking jobs. We're always telling white people, we need you to give us more jobs, because the only way we can identify economic opportunity is if it comes in the form of a job. But if we have economic chefs and economic farmers, then they're not going to be asking for jobs. They're going to be looking for opportunities to build capital. They're going to look for scenarios where they can start businesses. They will look for scenarios where jobs can be created, because they'll understand the entirety of the entire economic ecosystem. Do you follow me? Does this make sense? I spent a long time explaining this because I really need you to believe me on this when I tell you that this will solve 80% of the problems in the Black community. Economic strength will be our salvation, and that's what's going to make us great. And by the year 2070, I believe that if I can get a few 100,000 families to just kind of listen to me on some basic ideas and follow basic protocols, Black people won't just catch up. Reparations is nice. That's all good and cool. Let's sign whatever. Yeah, sure. Reparations sounds great. No problem. But Black people won't just get caught up. Black people will actually become identified as one of the most economically intelligent groups of people in the world. People will look at us the way we look at the Jews. They will look at us the way we look at the Chinese. They will look at us the way we look at the Arabs. And it's going to come with a lot of new problems, but I believe that's going to happen because what I'm seeing right now is really phenomenal. I think that the fact that we've really embraced economic strength and most of our leaders, our real leaders, I'm talking about the Farrakhan's and the Nipsey Hussle types and people like that that are really leading the community, they're all embracing that same message. That's going to lead to an explosion unlike anything you've ever seen. So I'm excited about that. I'm not pessimistic at all because I've seen 2079 and it looks really good for Black people. 2019 is going to take a little bit of work. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm about to go. Do me a favor. If you're watching online, please hit the thumbs up button before you go. Also, if you want to learn more about the masterclass I'm putting together, you can go to drboyceseminars.com. That's drboyceseminars.com. If you want to come meet me in Philadelphia, where we're going to do our all-day financial Juneteenth investing summit, you can go to drboycephiladelphia.com. That's drboycephiladelphia.com. So I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. Thanks for hanging out with me. It was great. I'll see you soon. Be good.